remember, the word that the Prime Minister has been using repeatedly is Gyan. Garib, youth, Annadata, Nyay. You can add the word middle class. The middle class word was used a few times in that short intervention that the Prime Minister made. But the clear focus at the moment, Siddharth, is on this Gyan factor. Garib, youth, Annadata, Nyay. The Prime Minister very good at acronyms. New acronyms that have come up today that I saw. FDI, First Develop India, used by Nirmala Sitharaman. And GDP, Government, Development and Performance. But overall, what is there for the middle class? The Prime Minister mentioned middle class 3 or 4 times. Yes, there's the Housing for All project that he wants to push forward. But your sense, did you see anything specific that should give the middle class some reason to cheer?
I don't think the government is linking it to the budget. And very clearly, the difference between 2019 and 2024 is the much better, stronger tailwinds that the government has in political terms, and that reflecting in the confidence with which some of these expectations have not been dealt with currently, Rajdeep. Will it be done in July? I don't know the answer to that. And just one quick point, if tax cuts have not happened now, is there economic logic to do it in the first year of a new government? So we don't know the answer to that. But one thing is clear, one more massive plan and ambition will be outlined in the Viksit Bharat roadmap that will be announced sometime in the near future.
You mean in the next month before the Code of Conduct comes into place?
I don't think so. I have no indications to that. I certainly believe it will perhaps be post the budget, or some elements of that may be in the budget. I don't think it's linked to the elections at all.
I don't think Viksit Bharat roadmap will come before the
next elections. Yeah. Before the elections are over.
Remember, in 2019, the government had laid down a 10-dimensional vision for India 2035, including mentioning that 10 trillion. This time they have avoided mentioning either any specific target or any specific vision or the roadmap. Let it be left for the future.
Let's go for a moment to Niranjan Hiranandani, Managing Director of Hiranandani Group, one of the country's largest real estate groups. They're now diversifying, of course, but there was the mention, Mr. Hiranandani, about housing for all. That's seen as one of the great slogans, the catchy slogans of this government, and the possibility of providing urban housing to more and more people who live in rented houses today. Your sense, is there that capacity there in the sector to be able to realize this vision of housing for all?
Rajdeep, thank you for having me. Let me share with you. I was a part of the program which prepared for the PMAY scheme. And at that point of time, the estimates which were created for urban and rural housing was 30 million. And they made a program for 30 million, 3 crore houses, and they have almost fulfilled that target by 95% or 97%. Now, if that target was not correct, obviously they couldn't have done more. And now they have realized that as far as housing is concerned, we still need a long way to go before we really complete the requirements in the marketplace. So I think what they have done now is to prepare the program for 2 crore houses, which will take care of the middle and the lower middle class, which they are talking about, which is the affordable segment where we are getting the subsidies. They haven't come up yet with 2 parts, which is actually the slum rehabilitation, which had been talked about earlier, and also for the rental housing, which I think they will come about in the next budget, because the discussion paper on that was issued by the Housing Ministry. So I think these 2 aspects of it we will likely to see in the budget, which is there. But I think this is a directional budget. And in that, quite a lot is being said as far as housing is concerned. But second point, which is more important, I think, as far as housing is concerned, is the infrastructure which is coming up. If you look at Mumbai alone, you're going to have 300 kilometers of metro, you have the MTHL corridor, you're getting so much land to be developed. So I think housing is going to see a big uplift in the next 5 years, much more than I could have ever dreamt of. So I am looking very positively, both in the affordable segment as well as in the luxury segment. Luxury segment has seen a growth which is also unpredicted by anybody in the housing sector, which is already seeing, and you can see that reflection as far as the growth is concerned, even in the listed companies of things. So I think all in all, housing is going to do it. They've focused on roti, they're focused on agriculture. I think textiles are also doing extremely well. So the essential needs of the people are being taken care of. And I think that is very, very, very clear in the finance minister's thing, and what is reaching to the poorest of poor in terms of the social requirements of the people, I think is very well clarified. So while you look at a Viksit Bharat of a developed country, I think she has made it very clear that the social commitment to the poorest of poor in every segment is going to do. So economy on one side, housing, of course, a part of that, but also the fact that social thing will be taken care of. I think that's very clear, Rajdeep. I don't see any doubt about that part. It's a good budget, directional budget.
Okay. Siddharth, you have a guest.
Deepak Shetty, Chairman of CII Infrastructure Council, is also with us. Deepak, welcome. Very clearly, there is a significant announcement for the housing sector, and the housing sector is a driver of so many other sectors in the economy. What's your own sense about how this new housing scheme for the middle class could pan out, and what kind of opportunities could it create for your sector?
I think it's very heartening. First of all, at the top level also, if you see the direction, the focus on infrastructure development continues, and that is what this 11.1 lakh crore investment, that's the message that we get. But specifically answering your question, I think it's very positive that the focus is there on the housing sector. This is again going to help develop the infrastructure. It's not only about creating houses, cleaning up the groundwork, and then also laying the roads, etc., to connect these hamlets where the housing will be developed. I'm sure this will further help spruce up the rural economy. So from infrastructure development, I think the various elements have been covered. And if I expand this a bit, normally when we talk about infrastructure development, we think roads, highways, airports. But the Honorable Finance Minister has also spoken about investment into the railway sector. Now, again, very, very important. I want to touch one more element is the logistics cost in India is like around 12 to 13%. I'm sure with a more dedicated freight corridors, with better connectivity, the overall logistics cost also will come down, which will further help benefit the economy and the industry.
Mr. Shetty, do you see a timeline for these 2 crore houses to be added? As Mr. Hiranandani said, this budget is primarily directional, that housing is seen as a key priority for the government, but do you see a timeline?
No, I agree with Mr. Hiranandani. I think this is more of a directional budget. It talks about what the government is looking at. I'm sure as we move forward, particularly maybe in the month of July, we will see more of those elements where the timelines will be mentioned. But again, for the industry, it is very heartening that the government is looking at this important sector.
All right. Niranjan Hiranandani, yeah, you wanted to make a point. Go ahead, Niranjan.
Yeah, the estimates which were first put out by the ministry was talking about a target of 2 million houses to be done in 5 years' time. So probably the PMAY scheme will look at 2 crore houses. The breakup of urban and rural has not been mentioned, but I think that will also come out in detail because those estimates were being prepared both for the urban and rural areas. We do think that at least 5 years' time is the target, which is aggressive, but I think they will be able to achieve it because they have already got the previous experience of PMAY scheme. We have asked, and the industry has asked for certain modifications in the rules and regulations for the purposes of getting the benefit of it, because cities like Mumbai and others where they had put a top line in terms of the price of the Pran could not get the benefit of this PMAY scheme. And that's why some recommendations from the associations have come up.